Welcome to The Bottom Line, where we examine trending and important news. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdew has brought under the spotlight the fact that the International Decade for People of African Descent, Assembly Guyana, has benefited from hundreds of millions of dollars in government funding to further the cause of Afro-Guyanese, even as those in its leadership falsely accuse the PPPC government of practicing discrimination. The Vice President's comments stem from an advertisement published by the Coffee 250 Committee, inviting persons to participate in a discussion themed resisting the emerging apartheid state in Guyana.
So I see here Mr. Vincent Alexander and the chairman, Dr. Norman Negaki. So on this ad, well, let me tell you about a bit more about these two persons, and then you will conclude for yourself what's happening in this country and how this group of individuals has not only failed Afro-Guyanese, but they are living the good life on the back, claiming that they believe in a cause that is all pursuant or based on their own personal pecuniary interests. So you recall that an organization, a private limited liability company, was established on the International Decade for People of African Descent Assembly. This is a private limited liability company. The beneficial owners of this company are many people here. Vincent Alexander, Olive Sampson, Dr. Norman Negaki, Simpson De Silva, Mark Curtin, Rosemary Davis, Miriam Levi, Royston Peters. These are the people who are listed as the beneficial owners of this company. So this company has received from the government of Guyana, a private limited liability company. We're listing these people as beneficial owners. They've received $68 million in 2018, $100 million in 2019, $100 million in 2020, $100 million in 2021, and $100 million in 2022. So they have received nearly $500 million of taxpayers' money. This group of people that I just mentioned, who claim that they represent Afro-Guyanese, $500 million of taxpayers' money to advance the cause of Afro-Guyanese. From the PPP government, this is the same party that has given them, or the government has given them over $200 million, nearly $250 million, because we're an emerging apartheid state.
From this $500 million, how much of this money has ever gone to any ordinary Afro-Guyanese? Remember, this is a group of people who claim they represent Afro-Guyanese with a private limited liability company that they established, receiving nearly $500 million of taxpayers' money. The VP takes us through the last filed financial statement of this organization.
So salaries and allowances, $42 million. Conference expenses, $4.5 million. Traveling and transportation, $2.8. Advertisement, $2 million. Office material and expenses, $9 million. Building rentals and utility, $5 million. So I can go down, because that's it. But let me go to disbursement of grant funds. How much they gave out in grants to Afro-Guyanese? $343,000. $343,000 disbursement of grant. But 42 of the 100 million, that's for 2020. Doesn't this country see that these are parasites using Afro-Guyanese just for their own personal benefits?
Banker and financial expert Floyd Haynes has also expressed dismay that his name was included on a list of speakers at the forum. Haynes, in a letter to the chairman of the committee, Dr. Norman Nagaki, said he was not asked to be a part of the program and demanded his name be removed from an advertisement circulated by the Coffee 250 committee with immediate effect. Haynes in his letter said, and I quote, "Moreover, I completely reject the phrase resisting the emerging apartheid state to describe conditions in Guyana. In my view, this statement is a disservice to all Guyanese. As such, I wish to categorically disassociate myself from it. More importantly, I am a firm supporter of His Excellency, the President of Guyana, and I am absolutely convinced that it is not a part of the President's agenda to create any disparity based on race." PNCR leader Aubry Norton on several occasions made several disparaging statements about the chair of GCOM, retired Justice Claudette Singh. Most recently, he has issued a not-so-veiled threat to the chair.
She was trusted with a job to operate independently. She has failed. And when people fail us, we must do everything to see their backs. We gave Claudette Singh time to see if she can reform. She appears to be deformed.
Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo said the silence from international organizations and civil society is deafening.
I'm shocked that civil society and the international community has not responded to this. That Norton has threatened on more than one occasion the chairman of GCOM, the head of an independent statutory body, because he's not happy with her. He's threatened that if she's not removed, she'd have to face some consequences. And not a single member of civil society, the conscience of the country, nor anyone from the international community has called him out on this threat.
While Norton, a former government functionary under the former APNU-AFC administration, does not generate much weight, the Vice President noted that these threats should not be treated lightly. Norton's intimidation tactics are intended to either force the GCOM chair to act in a pro-PNC manner or to get rid of the retired justice because of her impartiality. President Dr. Irfan Ali delivered the keynote address at the opening of the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo 2 at the National Academy of Performing Arts in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking about Guyana's advancement, President Ali said there has been steady progress in every category on a national level over the first half of the year. He pointed out that his government aims to ensure that by the end of 2024, Guyana is completely self-sufficient in corn and soya feed input for the poultry industry.
And that requires the capital investment of the rest of the region, and we are open and ready for this partnership with the private sector.
President Ali's robust leadership for agriculture in CARICOM has seen significant progress in several countries, even as efforts heighten to reduce the region's enormous US $5 billion food import bill by 25% come 2025. Guyana has attained 61% in its poultry performance, while the livestock industry fared better, with it attaining 80%. Opposition leader Aubry Norton has said on numerous occasions that his party will not be contesting elections without a new voters list. However, it was made clear that government nor the people of Guyana will be bullied.
Norton can't bully the government or the country not having local government elections. He is probably had a good dream in Congress Place, sleeping down there. But he can't bully. Local government shall take place. We don't know the timing because we don't control that. The PPP will participate. He now has to backpedal, go back down basically, and contest the elections. I'm sure he will. Don't worry with all this big gaffe.
The Vice President said Norton does not seem to understand that it would be unconstitutional to remove people's names from the voters list given the ruling from the Chief Justice and based on the Constitution. VP Jagdeo made it clear that the People's Progressive Party civic government will not support any process that is unconstitutional. However, Norton comes from a party that has a history of acting unconstitutionally in several instances.
Apart from the fact that they come from a history of rigging elections, a well-documented history of rigging elections. You would recall it was that party that unconstitutionally foisted a chairman on GCOM that was subsequently challenged by the People's Progressive Party, and he was removed by the Caribbean Court of Justice because the act was an unconstitutional one. Secondly, it was that party that refused to act in accordance with the Constitution to hold the elections after the government fell in November 2018 within the constitutionally prescribed period. And again, we had to go all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice to have a ruling on that matter. And even with the ruling, they refused to hold the elections, and it was only through a combination of pressure, international pressure, and street action that led to the elections being held. So this party has a history of acting in an unconstitutional manner.
The Constitution of Guyana was amended with the agreement of all parties in the country in the early 2000s. There were 3 criteria for registration and for voting in elections in Guyana. In the old Constitution, it was Guyanese 18 years and above and resident in Guyana. In the early 2000s, the residency requirement was removed from the Constitution, and all parties agreed to this. Opposition leader Aubry Norton has promised that if the coalition of a Partnership for National Unity plus Alliance for Change is re-elected in 2025, it would forgive the more than $10 billion in University of Guyana student loans. This laughable attempt to copy the PPPC's manifesto was brought to the attention of Vice President Jagdeo during a press conference he held recently.
He promised that now. Anyhow, everybody knows that that's part of our campaign on the manifesto. And we made it clear that within 5 years we'll do it. We can do it in the first year. We're aiming to do that within 5 years, and that also we will work out a plan to address the debt. I've spoken about this 100 times, literally. But this guy is bereft of ideas. So I suspect he's just going around picking up the PVP documents and repeating them. Bereft of ideas. Yes, I said within, we said within the 5 years, so that is why we wanted to pace ourselves. On the scholarships, we had said 20,000 within 5 years. That's part of our manifesto too. But now we have revised this upwards, so more likely we'll end up with 30, 40, 50, maybe even 50,000 scholarships in the first 5 years. So we're not remaining static there, although we had that promise too.
And that's the bottom line.